Good day. Welcome to another Mr. Drive Drives episode. This time Mr. Drive is limited to driving the bus and speaking is done by an AI voice. The reason for this is twofold. Due to the flu, Mr. Drive is not really able to speak without constantly coughing into the microphone. However, this is also the beginning of the end of the further development of Stadsregio Vlietlanden Extreme. In general, the map is ready, only 1001 details still need to be worked out. With this in mind, Mr. Drive has decided to do it completely differently this time and concentrate on his Omsi duties. That is the second reason you're hearing me speaking to you. So again, welcome to Mr. Drive Drives. I'm Joey, your host for today. Let's start with boarding the bus. For this extreme version, the Mercedes MBO 530 Citaro from the Aachen map is the standard bus for the map. It appears in two different configurations, the MBO 530G, that's the bendy bus, and the single one, the MBO 530. Since we happily drive around in Holland, we use the very common Arnet livery. We're doing this ride from the driver's point of view, so this time, as passengers, we're brazenly sitting in the driver's seat. We'll see what happens. So now we're sitting behind the wheel. First, Mr. Drive will program the board computer. Today we do line 20, starting at Wallstad Station Zuid, and we are heading for Finkendel bus station. Sorry for the strange pronunciation of all those funny Dutch names, they are quite alien to me. Oops, I guess this is the wrong destination. Better give in the right code. I guess it is line 20, trip 4. I think that will do the job nicely. Time for some background information. This year, 2022, marks the 10th anniversary of the Vlietlanden map. It started out as an Omsi 1 map that consisted of 3 parts. The parts together were around 500 tiles, an amount that Omsi 1 couldn't handle. When Omsi 2 hit the market, all 3 parts were combined and, through the years, more and more regions were added to the map. So eventually, it became a regional map with, besides Vlietlanden the main city, some rural areas, and villages. This last version is around 1,225 tiles big and contains 2 big cities and a handful of provincial towns. Part of the map is made purely out of the imagination of Mr. Drive and parts are based on real cities. As is this bus station where we are standing now. This one is loosely based on the new central station of The Hague. So we are rolling now, on our way to Finkendel. Have a happy journey. I guess you don't mind that I tell you some more details along the ride. The bus station we are leaving is based on the new central station of The Hague, as are the surroundings. There is a big difference though. The Hague has a tram network that is no longer included on the map. No longer? Yes, in the past there were trams driving in Vlietlanden. But back to the present. After leaving the bus station, the driver has to negotiate some sharp turns. This is needed to get into the Koningstunnel. I will give a warning here, the tunnel still has some rough spots. Making tunnels in Omsi is not an easy task and every move you make in that area has some counter effect on the surroundings. So here are still some things not quite as they should be. We go into the tunnel, but we will leave it also at some point. We leave at the Malieveld entrance. The Malieveld is famous for all those demonstrations, think those famous farmers' demonstrations, or far more back the anti-atomic bomb march, that are held there. But the place knows also some more cozy affairs like circus, lunaparks, and of course, the Tun Tun Fair, also known as the Pasar Malam. I give you some time now to take a look around. Well, since we are in the driver's seat we have to look straight ahead. If you from this place, see if you can recognize something. I'll be back later. And, did I exaggerate with those sharp turns? Welkom in de Koningstunnel. Such a tunnel is quite boring, so just some verbal support. Today we drive line 20 because, with the completion of this line, the main features of the construction of the map have been completed. But of course, there are many more new things on this map. For example, Wallstad has been expanded with the center of The Hague, and the Maria Hove and Haagshout districts in The Hague have also been included in the map. An area between West-Delerwoud and Wallstad has also been created. Additions have also been put on the map in the Vliettberg section. Existing areas have often been upgraded. The map is big and diverse and, as always, such an advantage comes with a downside. You need more than an average PC to run it smoothly, and you need to invest in a lot of official Omsi DLCs. Added to the already long list of needed stuff are the maps of Hamburg Line 20, Saint-Servain and Paris Grand Moulin. Let's don't talk about this right now, you can find all that kind of information in the manual. For now we enjoying the ride and the smooth driving of Mr. Drive.
Hallo.
Hoi. Dag beste man.
By the way, that pretty voice that announces the various bus stops is my colleague Carola. She is a Dutch AI voice, and I have to admit I'm a bit in love with her. With such a voice you only can imagine how the virtual body looks like. I see some great thing in my mind's eye.
Hoi. Goeiedag.
Hey gozer. Hoi.
We now enter a neighborhood called Beenorderhout. A kind of place where the more wealthy people live beside the attorney offices, financial advisors and the occasional cheap family house. Mr. Drive didn't do a remake of it but was more interested in creating the atmosphere and appearance of the neighborhood. An especially distinguished and calm impression. Just take a good look around you. while driving through this beautiful neighborhood, a view on the building of maps. Within the Omsi world, it doesn't seem to be about quality anymore but more about quantity or getting the 5 seconds of fame. Invisible splines, you know that expression? Invisible splines were invented by Marcel and Rudiger to bridge small discrepancies in the path structure. They are also very useful for that, and Mr. Drive also sometimes applies this. However, the new Omsi maps consist entirely of invisible splines, and that only has disadvantages. Not only is it detrimental to your performance, but you can also throw the traffic rules out the door because they, with the exception of speed limits, do not work with invisible splines. Intersections consisting only of invisible splines, the Gladbeck group, are a mess. When you're driving on such a map, the AI traffic is constantly bumping into your ass. As AI voice, I'm damn sure those AI drivers are no fools, they only lack the proper infrastructure. But not so on Vlietlanden. Mr. Drive makes special objects for his intersections, and in this all the splines, the visible ones, are specially made for the map. This guarantees reasonable behavior of the AI traffic, and at least they see you coming. Later along this line we pass some big intersections. Take a good look at the behavior of the AI. Compare that with the Gladbeck group maps. From a more or less well-to-do neighborhood, we go straight into the future. We have arrived at Futura Park, the place where all the high-tech companies of Wallstadt are located. It may be a bit exaggerated to see this as Silicon Valley of Wallstadt, but they make an attempt. The design of this district originated from the brain of Mr. Drive, the infrastructure mainly comes from Rheinhausen. We are nearly at the point now where the actual extension of Line 20 starts.
Goeiedag. Nou, post.
Hey, gozer!
Here was the former terminus of Line 20. You were able to drive past this point, but then you ended up at the edge of the world. For those who don't know, the Omsi world is flat. And that has several meanings so far as Omsi is concerned. A bit further on we get our last glimpse of the future. I'll elaborate a bit more about that later on. For now, enjoy the last parts of Futura Park. Whoa, that wasn't a smooth turn, next time better. But alright, let's talk about the next stop. It's called Nooney and Sungstrat. I hear you think, Nooney and who? Well, Mr. Drive is besides a jazz musician, and Omsi map builder also a real Trekkie. I guess you all know Star Trek. Then you of course know, Star Trek, The Next Generation. When you know that, you aware of the existing of the android Data. The question is, who created Data? The answer is, Dr. Nooney and Sung. You can't get more future than this. So at the border of Futura Park there is a name of a progressive inventor. Very fitting, isn't it? The next stop is called Ed Reeds Vlietlanden. I repeat, Ed Reeds Vlietlanden. There's some familiar name in there. Use your imagination. Home, at last. This is more or less the case for our driver. The upcoming minutes we are driving through an area that is made on base of all the memories Mr. Drive creates when he left his house. It's a kind of free approach of Lustuen, the Stadsdeel where Mr. Drive is living. The roads and building are mix of fiction, reality and old and new times. Thinking and building out of the box but with some recognizable landmarks. In short, welcome in Lustuen. Have you ever asked yourself the question, what the heck I'm doing behind a fake steering wheel and driving at some recreated place, handling dumb complaining passengers and negotiating with bad driving AI? I guess you did, and some of us do that maybe all for more than 10 years. And to be honest, there is no simple answer to that question. In some way we all fell in love with a bus simulator which to this day has no equal and probably never will. We've all come to love the realistic way you can run a bus and take the not so great graphics for what it is. One by one we all bought all the DLCs, looked forward to Omsi 2 and finally started working with the editor ourselves. We were horrified when Marcel and Rudiger got into a fierce argument and were bummed when the gentleman stopped developing Omsi. For a short time we were hopeful and saw an Omsi 3 in Lotus. However, it soon became clear that Marcel's pad managed to delay the case well. Of course, we can understand that someone can fall in love. But falling in love with Janine, then you must be very hopeless. So it won't be Lotus. Well, maybe it will have its initial release when Mr. Drive is already sitting long and wide from behind the geraniums, watching the buses go by. So, that's too late. Is the bus an option? Doubts here too. Maybe nice to drive through Berlin. Build a folder yourself there. Mr. Drive doesn't see that happening anymore. So there is a very good chance that Stadsregio Vlietlanden Extreme will be Mr. Drive's last work. No more building activity after release. Only hours behind the wheel. That has an advantage, then he will finally learn to drive
Hey,
well.
gozer!
All joking aside. For Mr. Drive it ends after this and he may also become active in other areas. Trains, planes, who knows? Will you end up at Lotus again? Hello Janine. By the way, what do you think of the map and video so far? Are you having fun or is it explosive boring? Leave your comment below the video. Let's see where we are now. I don't know, I hope the driver will. Oh yes, I see where we are. In real life this crossing is a pain in the ass for the drivers of line 26 and 31. A corner that is almost impossible to negotiate. The always friendly Mr. Drive made it a bit smoother for your convenience. Oh, from here, reality is even more violent. Names are no longer correct and the road layout is also very different. This has again sprouted from Mr. Drive's inexhaustible brain. We're not far from the terminus now, so hold on a little longer.
Hoi. Goeiedag.
This AI car is truly a disgrace to its kind. AI is still a weak point, but that actually applies to all Sims.
De volgende halte is Zilverstraat. Hallo.
Hoi. Dag beste man.
De volgende halte is Staalduinseweg.
With only one stop in between, we are almost at the end of this line, and that also marks the end of this video. You have looked to Mr. Drives, with an episode about the last extension of the map. The map is still in beta, so it's not available at this moment. The plan is to release it in the first quarter of 2023, but that can always change when the circumstances are changing. As said at the start, there's still a lot to be done. Loads of details are awaiting to be handled. But we won't be quiet till then. More videos and more information will come to you. When you like me as your host, tell Mr. Drive so for all we know he will hire me again. Some facts about the map. 20 lines. Big cities, rural areas, villages and commuter cities. Dutch-speaking voices. A minimum use of invisible splines. Custom splines and crossing object for a smoother AI behavior. Turnkey package, no DLC stuff included are net repaints by Danapo. And much more. As always, it was a pleasure to make this video. I hope you like this approach. In my opinion, it's adding to the show. There will come a new download location for the map. More about that later. The size of the file will be around 10 gigabytes, so be prepared. Know that we can't support you with your download problem of limitations of your system. The map is needing a lot of DLCs. Be aware that illegal download DLCs, torrents, often are not completed. We will not support users who make use of that illegal software. Be fair and buy your copy legally. That was it for now. Enjoy the ride as long as it will take, and stay safe, stay happy, and goodbye.